The Series 7 episode Asylum of the Daleks introduces us to a very interesting aspect of recent Dalek lore, the Dalek Asylum. The Dalek Asylum was a planet-sized facility that the Daleks used as a dumping ground where they could contain all the insane, battle-scarred or otherwise non-conforming Daleks from throughout the Dalek timeline. The Doctor, despite hearing rumours about the asylum, had written it off as a nonsensical legend. He states to the Dalek Prime Minister that he never believed in the Dalek Asylum because he maintained that the Daleks would simply kill any Daleks that, in his words, went wrong. However, the Dalek Prime Minister reveals to the Doctor that the Daleks have a rudimentary concept of beauty and consider anything that is hateful to be beautiful. As such, they could not bring themselves to destroy the inmates of the asylum, as they still represented true hatred. It can be assumed that the inmates of the Dalek Asylum are still pure Daleks. After all, we see no Imperial or Necros Daleks during Asylum of the Daleks, which supports this notion. The Daleks are committed to wiping out impure offshoots of their race, so it must be concluded that the criteria for admission into the Dalek Asylum must be very specific. Within the asylum itself, there are different zones used to house Daleks with different ailments. The cavernous chamber hall that Rory explores appears to house many battle-damaged Daleks, as they appear broken and are initially dormant but act and sound much like regular Daleks when awakened. Other areas of the asylum contain much more dangerous inhabitants, however, such as the intensive care ward section, which among other things houses a group of Daleks who had survived encounters with the Doctor on planets like Kemble, Vulcan and Exelon. Despite having been seemingly transferred to newer casings, the cobwebs and damage shows that these Daleks have been in the asylum for centuries, and they hardly ever wake up for anything, save for special visitors. But let's address the elephant in the room, because since the broadcast of Asylum of the Daleks, the concept of a planet load of pure Daleks that has always existed throughout Dalek history has created several head-scratchers for Doctor Who fans. For one, why didn't the Cult of Skaro make use of the asylum when they were on their last legs, looking for ways to perpetuate the Dalek race? The asylum is a huge store of pure Dalek DNA, and whilst the cult was stranded on Earth in the 1920s, preventing them from reaching the asylum, the power derived from the Gamma Strike would have been more than enough to get them there. Khan was able to shift through a time lock with the spare energy left over from the final experiment, so undoubtedly the cult could have used that power to get to the asylum, rather than concocting a scheme to splice Dalek DNA into humans. There are also the lingering doubts over whether the asylum even makes sense as a concept at all. While the episode does provide an explanation for why the Daleks don't kill the inmates of the asylum, in that they see the inmates to be beautiful examples of Dalek hatred, many fans see it as a shaky excuse at best, and downright contradictory to previous Dalek stories at worst. That's why my theory as to the origins of the Dalek Asylum is that it was actually created by the Dalek paradigm, and didn't exist in the Dalek timeline until the point after Victory of the Daleks, when the Paradigm Daleks travelled back in time to begin again. The Paradigm Daleks returned to their own time and re-established the Dalek Empire, and at some point in time following this, they built the Dalek Asylum, which plucked specific damaged Daleks from throughout time and space and placed them in the asylum, unknown to the contemporary Dalek empires of the time. So the reason why the Cult of Skaro didn't use the Dalek Asylum is because for the entirety of the time in which they were active, the Dalek Asylum technically didn't exist, even though it has now always existed thanks to the Paradigm's time travel meddling. This also explains why there are different varieties of Daleks, some of which are ancient, despite the asylum itself being created by the then newest incarnation of Daleks. Time travel ensures that the Dalek inmates are taken from their local time periods, and the asylum itself has also existed for centuries, meaning that two inmates of the Dalek Asylum that come from the same Dalek era can still be separated by decades, even centuries, thanks to the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nature of the entire facility. Theorising aside, in terms of the actual specifications of the asylum itself, we only see a few hallways and chambers in Asylum of the Daleks, but according to the Dalek puppets that serve the Parliament, the asylum facilities honeycomb the internal structure of the entire planet, meaning there must be thousands, perhaps even millions of Dalek inmates. The facility was supposed to be fully automated, but meddling from the Oswin Dalek caused many of the asylum's functions to break down, wreaking havoc throughout the installation. However, this mattered little as the asylum was later destroyed by the Dalek Parliament, who blew up the planet with missiles in order to prevent any of the Dalek inmates from escaping. Despite its unusual justification for existing in the first place, the fact that it seemingly contradicts earlier Dalek lore, and the poor reception of the episode in which it features, the Dalek Asylum is still a very interesting aspect of Dalek lore that, if nothing else, has given many Dalek custom hobbyists a range of different ideas for creative customs that can be made with old broken Dalek figures that would otherwise be thrown away, and it is a great setting for a Doctor Who story. It's a shame that Asylum of the Daleks mostly uses the asylum and its Daleks as a backdrop for a contrived divorce plotline, but one cannot deny that the set design of this episode and the variety of classic Dalek props used makes the Dalek Asylum a really fun setting for Dalek fans. What do you think of the Dalek Asylum? Do you enjoy watching Asylum of the Daleks, or do you think Moffat could have done better with this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.